What's going on, good people? I hope this finds you getting through the day and finding some source of joy. I've been struggling to record this video because April 18th will forever be significant to me for a number of reasons. Chief among them is that today, a year ago, Nigel Shelby, my brother, our brother, a young man who many of you have heard me talk about over the course of the last year, died by suicide. A significant reason why Nigel died by suicide is because he was bullied incessantly for being both Black and gay. In Alabama in particular, a part of the country in which it is not acceptable to be Black or gay, let alone both at the same time. And I want to be clear that while I talk a lot about Nigel and how much it weighs on me that he should be celebrating what it means to be 16 and figuring out how to leverage his unique gifts to make contributions that will never be made now to the world. And Nigel's not alone. There are so many other children, Black children, LGBTQIA+ children, Black and Latinx and LGBTQIA+ children and children with disabilities, hidden and visible, and who otherwise show up in these socially constructed boxes that are really designed to control and oppress, but that make it so that babies who look like me and who look like Nigel spend more time contemplating and committing and completing suicide than any other group of children. Our babies are literally dying, and that does not have to be the case. And some of the reason why they're dying is because we're not having conversations about the fact that some of our babies, especially now, are facing challenges that would break the average adult. And we don't acknowledge their development, the fact that they're aware of everything that's happening in the world around them, and that we owe it to them, having invited them into this world, to sit often in the discomfort of not knowing and struggling to make sense of it. Just a few weeks ago, another baby, Giovanni Smith, also 15 years old, a beautiful Black, brilliant, I imagine, baby girl from California, my home state, also died by suicide. I say that again because too often the data points that color reports about things like the mental health crisis amongst Black children and youth in America obscure the fact that there are babies, there are literal people who are affected by these things. And so today, my ask is that everyone take a moment of empowerment to acknowledge, to reflect upon, to learn about Nigel Shelby, to say a prayer for his mother, my sister Kamika Shelby, and his family, Nigel's friends. I often think about having learned that Nigel wrote a letter to his best friend, affirming her beauty, acknowledging that she would be left without him in a world that would try to keep her from appreciating just how beautiful she is. And so I ask you to pray for all of them and to do something so that the babies who did not ask to be invited here and who Asa Hilliard reminds us are geniuses, and that there's no secret to supporting them. The first is acknowledging them, all of them, as human. And the second, he says, is to support them with love. So do something today. Lead with love and center young people you know, especially young people who don't have the privilege of just being and taking up space without being persecuted, are forced to explain or shrink or hide critical parts of who they are and how they show up in the world. Today is also National Trans HIV Testing Day, which is important because so many of the challenges, the mental health challenges in particular that are affecting people, have a disproportionate effect upon people who are trans and gender non-conforming. This is very much related to Nigel being bullied for being both Black and gay and showing up in spaces where maybe even if he didn't want other people to know those things about him, in part because people aren't entitled to that information, his body would have been betrayed that wish. And so I want us all to be mindful of the privileges that we have, to be sheltered in place in a home that we don't have to worry about getting evicted from, or to have an address that you know you receive a stimulus check at some point, or a job or an industry that you can return to or that was recognized by the IRS. There are so many things that too many of us, all people, Black people, acknowledging the beautiful diversity amongst us, take for granted, that literally constrain life opportunities for trans and gender non-conforming folks, Black queer folks more generally. And so my ask is that we, again, acknowledge it, withhold the judgment, just cut the shit and be more compassionate. This is especially important now because if for no other reason, we should be reminded that we are only as healthy as the least of these among us. And that we have a responsibility and an obligation to make space so that everybody can be healthy, happy, and whole. I know part of what Kamika talks about as an ambassador to the National Black Justice Coalition is wanting Nigel's legacy to be one that is reflective of the light that he was in the world, and the opportunity that we all have to grow, to be better and to do better. Know that we're a resource. We'll also continue to serve as a reminder. But each of us have the power to do so much to shift so that we don't have a new normal, because normal didn't work for so many of us. But so that we can build the beloved community that Congressman John Lewis often talks about. Let that be Nigel's legacy. Find some way to celebrate him today.